Hi students, today what we talk about is the writing and inscriptions of the Persian society during the time of Darius and Xerxes. This falls under the syllabus dot point that you can see on your screen, and importantly what we're going to talk about is the Byston, the fortification tablets, Persepolis, treasury tablets. And these are some of the key sources that we have as ancient historians to start to understand life during this time. Couple of key terminology in which you will need to write down. Most important is of lingua franca, which is the common language, and that's Aramaic, okay, which is Semitic language, which became common under the Assyrian and Babylonian empires, and it was used predominantly as a spoken language, okay, not used in official inscriptions, okay, like we see in, for instance, the Byston inscription, which is just Old Persian, Elamite, and Akkadian or Babylonian. We see in a lot of official inscriptions that they're trilingual, using 3 different languages, and that's important because it actually helps us not only to look at the differences in different language, but also to start to decipher the different languages. Language in a multicultural empire is obviously crucial, okay, for communication, administration, and control. Without language, obviously, it's difficult to build relationships between different areas and different satrapies. And Persia is definitely a very multicultural and multilingual empire. The multilingual refers to obviously both spoken and written. Okay, we see different writing systems across the empire and different spoken languages. The majority of these official inscriptions are found in the sort of the core of the Persian Empire. I'm talking about Persis, Media, around the Persian capitals. However, we do see some sort of more remote areas, so even as Egypt, okay, where we see other official inscriptions that use trilingual format. Okay, an example of that is the one that we have here, which is the Chouf stele, which is one of the 5 stele erected by Darius after he constructed the canal between the Nile and the Bitter Lakes, which is sort of, you can think of as the ancient Suez Canal. And the stele inscriptions are written in Old Persian, Elamite, and Babylonian, and Egyptian. Okay, so you can see the use of local language as well being very important in order to make sure that the Egyptians understand that it was Darius who built this. It was Darius who contributed to the economy, and it was Darius again who, under Argamazda, is the king of this area. The Bison inscription, again, is probably one of the most important sources, Persian sources that we have, and it's the only remaining Persian narrative account. Whilst other inscriptions focus on kingship, divinity, and administration, the Bison inscription actually gives us a narrative record of Darius's assumption to power and his consolidation of control. As you can see, obviously with the Chouf stele, okay, we do see that satraps do retain their own language heritage, so Egyptians still used Egyptian. This can also be seen in Lydia. However, Aramaic was introduced as the official administrative language. This was used in official decrees, in communication, back to the empire, administration, all the different treasury tablets, okay, they use Aramaic. Local languages were utilized for regional specific decrees, so we do see the Persian kings willing to use local languages in order to make sure that the particular region is able to fully understand what they're required to do. And the adoption of Aramaic as a common language may have been due to the rapid expansion of the empire, which outstripped the speed of its diffusion and intelligibility among the provinces of the vast empire of Darius. So because of the huge expansion, okay, they're not able to say use the traditional language of like Old Persian, and because of its complexity, okay, they're used for a much simpler language, which is already being used in other places around the Near East. An example of local languages being used here, as you can see, is the Letton trilingual, which dates from 338 BC. So it's not actually during the time of Darius and Xerxes, but it's a really good example. It's from Artaxerxes, and it holds both parallel inscriptions in Lycian and Aramaic, and it was actually sort of similarly used like the Rosetta Stone in Egypt, which helped to decipher Lycian, an unknown language at the time. Aramaic, this is the common language. As I already mentioned, it was the natural choice because it's already spoken in the Levant, okay, which is that area of, you think of the Holy Land today, so Persia, Palestine, and Israel, Egypt, Western Iran, and its alphabetic script was much easier to learn and write than the complicated Elamite or Akkadian cuneiform. And it was not used for official inscriptions, but seen on administrative documents, as you can see here in the Persepolis tablets. Old Persian, this is always presented first in the trilingual inscriptions. It came into existence during the reign of Darius I, and may have been adapted from Elamite and Mesopotamian forms originally used on clay. Okay, this is the bison inscription that we see here. We have looked at it throughout our study of ancient Persia, and it is approximately 15 meters high by 25 meters wide. Again, 100 meters up a limestone cliff, and it tells the story of Darius's assumption of the role of king. He's holding a bow as a sign of kingship with his left foot on the chest of the pretender Gwamada. And as I said, Old Persian is not a spoken language. It's designed as a script of Persian rulers and described on rock walls, stone tablets, glazed bricks, okay, column bases, okay, like that what we see in the statue of Darius I at Susa. So think of Old Persian as the official language, okay, sort of the king's language that's used for like official documents. Elamite, below Old Persian, so second. This is the Cyrus's homeland, Elam. It's multi-purpose, but particularly used for administration and communication. And the two most important Elamite archives of Elamite tablets that we have are the Persepolis fortification tablets and the Persepolis treasury tablets. The fortification tablets were drafted between the 13th and 28th regal years of Darius I, so from 509 to 494. And the Persepolis tablets date from Darius I in his 30th year of rule, okay, to the 7th year of the reign of Artaxerxes I. So spans Darius, Xerxes, and Artaxerxes. The fortification tablets include many records of transactions, distribution of foodstuff, management of flocks, providing workers and travelers at locations throughout most of the Persian and Persis and Eastern Elam, and probably at some locations to the northwest and southwest of those areas. The records drawn up at those sites were sent to official central office in Persepolis, and that's why they're there. The fortification texts also include many records compiling, tabulating information from similar registrations into accounts covering many months or relatively large areas or both. These compilations were made up in offices of Persepolis itself. The tablets vary in size, shape, and format. Many of them are small and record single transactions or a single group of transactions in outlying areas. The treasury tablets, okay, they're found in the treasury. That's why they call that. Record the issues of silver and foodstuffs promoted to workmen of the royal economy in Persepolis and its suburbs. Okay, we all looked at these when we looked at the workers. The most frequent mentioned are Cappadocians, Lydians, Carians, Thracians, Ionians, Sogdians, and Bactrians, Babylonians, and Egyptians. So you see the vast array of the empire being mentioned in these tablets. All documents were apparently drawn up in the immediate vicinity of Persepolis. And the treasury tablets are divided into formularies, into letters and memoranda. Okay, the letters from various officials addressed to the head of the treasury in Persepolis order that a certain sum be paid to individuals who carry out specified works, while the memoranda record the nature and duration of the work performed, the official responsible, and the amount of silver or foodstuffs paid to workmen in various categories according to their qualifications. The last language that we have is Akkadian. Okay, it's also called Babylonian. This is the third language in the sequence. It's similar to Elamite and was used both spoken and written, and it's commonly referred to as used for diplomacy, commerce, literature, religion, and science. And it was the sort of the prestige in Achaemenid inscriptions that it was the language of learning. And you see again another trilingual inscription here. This is called Gunjame, and this you see the first one by Darius the Great, and on the right is another inscription by Xerxes. And the inscriptions are very similarly start with the praise of the Zoroastrian god Aramazda, describe their lineage and the deeds of the mentioned kings. So again, we use these official trilingual inscriptions are very important for understanding not only the kings themselves, but also how communication was set up around the empire.